Now that you understand the 5 building blocks that make up every WorkXpress application, let's also do a quick review of the 5 tool interfaces. First, I will click into a project. By understanding the 5 building blocks and the 5 tool interfaces, you'll be able to build any application. The Create Blocks tool is used to create or reuse building blocks within your application. It also provides some advanced tools you may need to import data or set up a schedule for actions. The Create tab presents the 5 building blocks and assists in their creation. In the case of items, it launches the Create Item wizard. For fields and layouts, you can see here that it lets you choose specific types that you want for your application and then lets you drag and drop them onto your application. When you see the block type you like, simply drag it onto the page. Here's an example of creating a field. And here's an example of creating a layout. If you don't like where you dropped it, simply grab it and move it somewhere else. Relationships are created in the Data Navigator tool. Anytime you are asked to create a relationship, you will be presented with a screen, something like this, and you'll be asked 2 simple questions. First, what item type do you want to relate? And how do you want to describe each side? Once you've answered those questions, you're done. Relationships connect your items together and enable sophisticated functionality. Actions are created in the Events Manager tool, which you'll see in a moment. The Reuse tab lets you grab previously created building blocks and use them again. For example, let's suppose I want to find a field I had already built about an account and put it in a list. I would go to the Reuse tab to reuse that building block. Once I found it, I would drag and drop it onto the page where I needed it. Simple. Clicking on any block in your application or on the wrench icon in the Create Blocks tool leads to the Edit tool for that building block. The Edit tool may appear in a pop-up at the bottom of the application. You will use the Edit tool to access any settings for the block that you want to change. Notice that clicking on the blocks in the interface will often lead to helpful wizards to lead you through the process of achieving your goal. The Data Navigator tool is the tool that you use anytime you want to access or query data concepts from the database. It's simple to use and very powerful. You will use items and relationships to map your data, and choose fields for specific data. Let's look for data in the database that starts with a list of accounts. Let's pick some fields from an account, namely account name. Notice that the results appear in this area so that you can do a gut check to see if you are on track. Let's extend our data query to include all employees of the accounts in our list. This will involve a relationship. Let's grab some fields from the employee. Notice that the results update below. See how easy this is to do? Now, let's suppose we don't want all employees, but rather just the ones in the state of Pennsylvania. Let's add a filter. This is a simple data query, and you can see the simple results below. Now, let's look at a more complex map. This represents a very complex database query, but was easy to produce. It includes branches, filters, logic, and many joins. With the Data Navigation tool, you can quickly and easily define any data set you need using 3 of your building blocks: items, relationships, and fields. Once you've retrieved data from your data map, you might want to manipulate it using mathematical or text expressions, or by giving it a format. Any manipulation of numbers or text in WorkXpress is done with the Expression Builder tool. Once you get the hang of it, you'll find it to be both simple and powerful. There are only 4 things you need to know to master the Expression Builder tool. First, use the Data Query tool to describe the data set you are going to modify. Second, operate on fields by pulling them or their parts down from here. Third, you can set up either text or mathematical functions here. Finally, you can use any of these formatting controls here. Watch as I build a simple expression to output the sum of 2 fields. It's that easy. Finally, you can create actions simply by selecting any block in your application and choosing Actions. Remember, actions are the things you want the computer to do for you automatically. The Events Manager tool is used to manage actions and is intuitive and easy to use. It presents all the things that will happen with this building block while it is in the interface, before it is saved, and while it is saving. Then it gives you the opportunity to create evaluations, actions, or looping expressions to run at any point therein. Here's an example of what will happen when this saves. It shows all the events that you can take advantage of by placing actions on them. Here, as an example, you can see that when the dollar amount is greater than 10,000, it sets a status to requires approval, and then it sends an email notifying the accounts payable supervisor. There are many other examples, and in fact, the power of this Events Manager and Actions is limitless. It's that simple.